All right. This is gonna be my review of my experience with purchasing a vehicle with Vroom. I'm just gonna say straight up, this is just straight up. This is unscripted, as you can already tell. This is unscripted review of the experience and all. So you're gonna hear a lot of ums and whatever. So my bad. So, but this is straight up off the cuff, straight from it. So I've had my vehicle for about a month now. Yeah, I'd say close to a month. And the vehicle itself is fine. Like, I had no issues with it. I have had no issues so far with it. I kind of waited to do this review just to see if the vehicle itself was in whatever shape it was, if I had any issues with the vehicle, and if I had to, work something out with Vroom or whatever. But vehicle's perfectly fine. I had it checked out, whatever, and everything's perfectly fine. So in that regard, it's cool. So the actual experience of purchasing the vehicle was a bit of a problem. So I think I went through the whole process around September 18th or so. September 18th, I guess. And that's when I first started looking for vehicles with Vroom. And the initial part of it with the picking the vehicle out, going through the process or whatnot was perfectly fine. It was the actual, when we started to try to move forward with it, was where we started having some problems. Problem number one. So full disclaimer, the first part of the issues, I guess, was more on me than Vroom. Perfectly. That's on me. So I was going through a process of renewing my license. And my license had expired. I didn't realize it expired or whatever. So my license was expired, and I was going through the process of renewing it. And I had the paper license, the temporary license that's on paper or whatever, but I didn't have the permanent license in. So that kind of held things up a little bit when I was working with them, because, the agent I spoke with said they would take the temporary license, but she had to go check with people and all that fun stuff. And that kind of held things up a little bit, but eventually my actual permanent license came in mail, so that was not really an issue anymore after that. So I guess the next part of it was more of, once the permanent license came in, everything on my end was, I guess, resolved, and that license issue probably held things up maybe about 3 days or so. So, but once all that was resolved, it was just a pain, man. It was like pulling teeth trying to get them to, just do their part. So from what I understand, services like Vroom, Carvana, is you pick your car, you go through the purchasing process, and it gets delivered, or have your Carvana's case, you go up to a Carvana, you can go up to like not really dealership, but their little factory place or whatever, and actually just grab it off the little assembly line thing, whatever. But Vroom, it was not like that. At least my experience, it was not like that whatsoever. It was more of a whole thing, should I say. I constantly had to call them, like every day, just to kind of push them forward, to move things to the next step. If I didn't call them, if I did not call them, and would assume that, okay, I've moved them forward to the next step, I won't have to call them again. And it's like things would just pause. Just a whole situation would just pause. So, and when I say the whole situation would pause, I mean, it's like no one touched my case anymore. It just sat there. So I'd have to call them again, and okay, what's going on? Constantly pushing them forward. So I would say it was more of an issue with, I had to go through multiple agents. Apparently my original agent, she made some changes on the back end and try to hook me up, make it so that my car note would be a little less or whatnot. And apparently those changes weren't the right thing to do that she made, because it screwed up the whole process in a sense. Basically I went over my budget, where I guess the budget that I was, the amount of money, the loan I was approved for, I went over that because of everything that she was doing or whatever. So I spoke to another agent. They had to correct a lot of those mistakes. And apparently, and so that was kind of that, and that got resolved. And then so what I purchased was a 2017 Nissan Rogue Sport. That's what I purchased. So I remember looking, when I first was looking at vehicles, there were two 2017 Nissan Rogue Sports. A silver one, which is the one I got, which had like 30,000 miles on it. And then there was like a green one or something, or red one, I can't remember what color it was, which had like 98,000 miles on it. Of course, I went with the 30,000 miles one, right? Well, I don't know who did it. I don't know, but I noticed, whenever I went to my status page on my account, it showed that there was the beginning of a purchase of the other one, and it eventually got canceled, which I'll get to that in a minute because that turned into a thing in a minute. So it always showed that I had two vehicles I was trying to purchase, one canceled and one so going through with the purchase. So that was weird in a sense, seeing that all the time. But after the account issues, after the account stuff was kind of fixed and corrected, it was more of a I was never told. So at one point, everything just paused and came to a halt, and my wife co-signed for me for this vehicle, and of course I'd already sent in my documentation and information. I was never advised that she needed to send hers, and they never told me. They never just flat out never told me. So I'm sitting there waiting, and finally I called them and I said, hey, so what's going on with this, this purchase? I've been waiting. And it was like, oh, we're still waiting on your wife's stuff. Your wife's driver license and everything. How come you haven't sent it? I was like, I was never told. So, real quick, it was no big deal. She just took a picture of her license front and back, gave it, texted it to me, and I just uploaded it or whatever. Okay. Seemed like that was done. It wasn't done. I don't know, let's say when it was done. I mean, it seems like that was it and everything should be smooth. It wasn't. A moment ago when I mentioned that it looked like someone had made a mistake and marked that other 2017 Nissan Rogue as mine, and then they caught it and canceled that transaction and moved forward with the correct one. So after like a day or two, again, no movement, no phone calls, no anything, no updates. So when when you go to your account information, and I don't know if it's just a me thing or if it's just how it is with everyone, but it never gives you anything, no real details on what's going on with your transaction. It just kind of hangs out there. I mean, it shows you the documentation and everything is uploaded with a nice little green check, but after that, it just doesn't tell you what's going on behind the scenes of what we're waiting on, what's going on, So anyway, I called again to see what was going on again, and they were like, yeah, looks like your vehicle was canceled. Your purchase was canceled, and this is like almost 2 weeks into it, like 2.5 weeks into it. It looks like your purchase was canceled. And of course I was, I'm like, what do you mean canceled? Because I haven't canceled anything. I've spoken with numerous agents, various agents who assured me that it was not canceled. And so the guy had to go on, had to, I guess, go back and talk to people and figure out what happened. And of course they're like, oh, wait, never mind. It's not canceled. It's, that was another one that was purchased. Our purchase was started on our end and we made a mistake and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, so what's going on with mine then? My actual purchase. And of course he was like, it looks like, we're just waiting on, what was it? We're just waiting on confirmation on all the documentation, the contract, because at the end, all I was waiting on was the contract, the actual final contract to be emailed to me. And another one is supposed to be, I guess, actually physically sent to you. Because the way Vroom works is, I believe I think, I don't know if they're Texas based or not, I don't know. But the way Vroom works is they put your title and everything in, they register it all in, their state, and then it's re-registered again in, in your correct state. After I spoke with them and found out, oh wait, we don't have to send you the physical one because you're already in Texas, so we don't have to register it in, twice. So we don't have to send you the physical one. We don't need permission for that. We don't need it, obviously. So after all that, now keep in mind, this didn't seem like a long period, but these are days, sometimes a day or two in between calls, and constantly pushing them forward to the next level. It finally, everything got pushed through. Now the actual contractor, that they used to deliver the vehicles, that part was smooth sailing. I think it actually came earlier than expected. I was quoted at, I can't remember the exact date. I'll be honest with you. I was quoted an exact date, but it came like a week early, basically. So, as far as the actual, now that's one thing I do want to remember before I move over to the actual delivery part. I remember one distinctly. This is when they were waiting on my wife's information, my wife's the driver license and whatnot. I remember I spoke to them because they're 24/7 pretty much, right? I mean, not 24/7. I'm sorry, they're 7 days a week. So you can call them almost any day, just like as long as it's within the allotted time, right? I spoke to them Sunday afternoon or evening, and I remember speaking to them, and I asked them. I remember asking them, is there anything else that I need to do on my end? That I need to upload, that I need to send, that I need to sign? Is there anything that you guys are waiting on me? Anything else that you guys are waiting on me to do? And, the gentleman that I spoke with, he very vehemently, very just told me, like, no, nothing. Don't worry. You're done. Your part's done. It's all on us at this point. Smooth sailing. High fives. Congratulations on this car that's going to be coming to you eventually. Man, you about to make it. You better start riding. And then that's when, like a day or two later, after no movement, no phone calls, no updates in the app, or no updates on the website, and when I found out, oh yeah, we were waiting on, your wife's license and whatnot. Now, keep in mind, I get it. A lot of people may be like, well, of course they would have need your wife's license. She's a co-sign. I didn't know that. Okay. I didn't know that. I've never co-signed with anyone on a vehicle. So I did not realize that. So, okay. So I feel like even despite me not realizing that, even though it may be an obvious thing, they should have informed me way beforehand, and I should not have been told that we were not missing anything, that we were perfectly fine, right? So let's go back to the delivery part. So the delivery was fine. Delivery is perfectly fine. So where I live, this is not more of a knock on the delivery at all. It's more of a, just kind of thought it was funny. So where I live, it's a dead end street. There's no throughput. So, it's not it's basically you go down the street and there's like a field. The street ends, it's not paved anymore. Street ends is like a field or whatever. So, I told Vroom, I was about to say Zoom. I told Vroom originally, I said, hey, this is when I first picked up the car, or not picked up, but was trying to purchase the car and fill out the information that, hey, this is not a good street to put an 18-wheeler on or anything like that, because it's no throughput. So you can't go around, you can't just keep on moving or whatever. So you're going to have to, I'll meet him somewhere. So with that being said, and I was told the dude was going to call about 30 minutes or whatever when he's going to arrive. Dude called, I remember I was working or whatever, and dude called, I was working from home, and the dude called, and he was like, hey, Phil. I was like, what's up, man? He's like, I'm outside. I was like, oh, you're outside? He's like, yeah, man. I was like, all right, man. So went outside, did my checks with the vehicle, did all my checks, checked things out, make sure everything looked good on the up and up. Dude gave me plenty of time. Like, man, just take your time, look at it, look at everything, make sure everything's good, make sure there's no scratches or dings or anything that you agreed to, and everything looked good. And the dude was like, so I'm not going to be able to get out of here, am I? I was like, yeah, buddy. I thought you were going to call 30 minutes before. I was going to let you know to meet me somewhere or meet me on one of the other streets that are, you can actually just get out easily. And he didn't come on an 18-wheeler. It was more like a diesel power. It was like a tow truck, like a big ass tow truck, basically. And he already had another vehicle on the back. He had to go deliver that one as well. So I was like, man, we kind of looked around, we kind of looked at the, the field area, and it rained maybe a couple of days before, maybe a few days before. So we kind of looked at it and kind of said, well, it really doesn't look muddy. I don't think you're going to get stuck. So he just said, man, screw it. I'm just gonna go for it, YOLO, and just went through it and kind of went around, backed up, forward, and all that fun stuff, and was able to kind of get out and get himself out. Hey, yay, everybody! So he was actually, so he was fine. So actually, the actual drop off was flawless. It was great. Other than that last little part, it wasn't technically flawless, I guess. But other than that last little part, it was pretty much good though. Dude got out just like he wanted to. Car dropped off. The shape of the car, it was perfectly good. The condition was perfectly fine. The inside was good. The outside was good. There was no, I've seen a few videos where people bought cars from Carvana or Vroom or whatever, and they found old chips and shit in the back seat or whatever. Nothing weird like that. Car was completely clean. I had all my floor mats and everything. So everything's perfectly fine in that matter. It was more of the actual experience with Vroom itself I just had the problem. It was like pulling teeth, man. I was like, man, I paid my down payment. I did everything. Just give me the car. So would I recommend Vroom? I think, man, they need to streamline their process a little more. Like that website. Like I said, the website / app, because I was checking both. It just doesn't really give a lot of information. At least on my end, it didn't get a lot of information on where I was with the purchase. That's why I constantly had to call, because I wouldn't hear anything, no emails or anything. So I didn't know where I was. So, I get it, patience. So I was waiting a good few days. So patience is a virtue when it comes to purchasing cars in this manner. But again, what I recommend? It's a hard pass, man. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. Carvana, I don't know. I've heard conflicting stories about Carvana, of course. I've heard one person said they hated Carvana. The other person said, it was the best thing in the world. It was perfectly smooth, So I don't know if I'm an outliner on Vroom or if this is just a standard way, people just, I saw a lot of reviews and stuff. And unfortunately, I didn't see them before I actually went to the purchase process. But, people were saying that Vroom is just nightmare for them. But a lot of issues a lot of the other people had, I didn't have. It was just, I had to make them do their work. If I didn't have to constantly remind them and push them forward, this whole review would be a whole different ball game, But yeah, it was just me constantly pushing them forward to the next step. It was like pulling teeth to get them to just do it, that kind of thing. So would I recommend them? Man, that's a hard pass, man. At least for now, until they can streamline their process a little better, get things a little smoother. I can't recommend them, man. But for those who want to try, go for it. I'm not gonna stop you, obviously. It's my opinion, right? Things like Carvana, Vroom, but I will say this: things like Carvana, Vroom, I think CarMax does it as well. These online car purchasing situations or whatnot, companies. Patience, man. You got to understand. So a lot of people do these things, and this is why I did it. I didn't want to go to a car dealership, and one, I don't have a lot of time to do it, right? And then two, I don't like feeling pressured. I don't want some dude, hey, won't you hop in and give her a spin? And then the haggling and the fight, not really fighting, but the haggling and going back and forth. Let me talk to my manager and see if we can work something out. Oh man, it's crazy. We can't do it. Or, oh man, maybe a little more. Put it down a little more. Maybe this will happen. No. I just want to, I like to cut, the black and white, cut and dry, just how it is. It is what it is kind of thing. When you're purchasing a car on Vroom or Carvana or whatever, is either you can get it or you can't. That is what it is, So the only thing, the trade-off for that is, it's gonna, even if it had gone smooth with Vroom, I feel like it probably would have been about 2 weeks before I got the car, which I'm okay with, It took 4 weeks for me to get this vehicle. And I feel like that easily could have been cut down, like I said, to 2 weeks, had everything just gone the way I think Vroom, the company, had intended for it to go, which is just, I make my purchase online, submit my documentation, And, you know, once I get approved for everything, blase, blase, boom, whoop-de-doo, car's done, you know, make my payments or whatever. But, yeah, patience is a virtue. You got to understand, if you're trading off the fact that you're not going to fight with a dealership or whatever, or haggling or whatever, that fun stuff, or be pressured into a vehicle maybe you didn't exactly want. You're trading that off for the fact that you're not going to drive off the lot with a car. You're not going to have a car the day you press that button, obviously. And it may be a couple of weeks before you do get a car. Or in my case, more than a couple of weeks, about a month. So, you know, I said I had the car for a month. It hasn't been a month. It's only been a couple of weeks. It's only been a few weeks, actually. That's on me. So, yeah, man, it's the process is cool in the sense, theoretically, if it goes the way you want it and the way that it's supposed to go, it's a cool process. It's the hiccups, all the weird hiccups that I had. It was just a hard pass for me, man. And it's more like, again, I guess, like I said, I gave it on me. It's on me. The first part, I didn't have my my actual permanent license yet, and held things up a few days. But after that, it was all Vroom, just pulling teeth, man. It's pulling teeth, and I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it anymore. So anyway, like I said, car's great though. So the actual vehicle's great, drop off was great, car's great. But that's my review. I just couldn't do Vroom. I wouldn't recommend Vroom to anyone. Carvana, don't know nothing about that, so I couldn't tell you. But Vroom, nah, man, don't do it. I wouldn't. Anyway, like, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.